everyone. Proud to be among you.
Good morning, brother. Sorry, man. Thank God for Mikey V. Otherwise, we would never.
This is coming to you absolutely live. I understand.
All right. So sorry, everybody. We're a little delayed. We'll get right to what Tony wants to get into today. So I know you wanted to start by talking about the governor quick here, right?
Well, I'm going to be really quick on this point. I ventured towards the center of the state yesterday to Meriden and back. And, my usual route back coming to Pomfret is 198 to the Stores campus. Then you make the left on 44 and then you head back, coming this way. And Lee Elci, it's we've really hit Pottersville in this state. We've really hit Lamontsville. Been a long time since I had been on this road, and just about every single larger commercial property that was occupied the last time I was there, nobody's there. For sale signs, weeds. It's people just for sale signs around the property and the residences, and I'm like, and then you get down to 198 and 44, and there was this monstrosity housing development that, of course, we had a housing shortage. They didn't tell us what was really happening. They told us we had a housing shortage that was going to handle this influx. Now, of course, we have lesser enrollment. We have cutbacks at UConn. And now we have immigration control. And this thing is glistening in the sun, empty as can be. And I'm saying to myself, this state, put it this way, we can't have 4 years of a dumb governor, but we certainly can't take 4 more years of Ned Lamont. 12 years of Ned Lamont in this state. I mean, if it's not the end right now, it's going to be. I just had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, I see a lot of those empty office spaces all over the place, Tony. So
guess what? Nobody's working. Nobody's investing.
Yeah. And yet they keep building houses. So I don't know. They keep building apartment complexes all over the state of Connecticut. So I don't know.
Go.
The end is going.
Anyway,
it's going to be a big
I
can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I had to give you my observation. If it's happening in your state, if you're watching on Patriot TV, it's pay attention. That's all I'm telling you. What they tell you and what's absolutely happening and actually happening are two different things. But anyway, in the interest of time, want to jump into this nonprofit scandal. And today's the date of the grand jury. The grand jury convenes in Hartford, and you can look at the subpoena. It's online. It's on Scribd and a couple of these places. We last left off with $800,000 from several nonprofit organizations going poof in the night. And the thing is, we get lied to so many times, like in the case of housing, and to the case of your monologue, and it's what are we being told and what's actually happening. I want to disimbue people of a couple of notions here. Don't believe the lie that this is just an isolated situation of Democrats stealing. Yes, Democrats stealing are a part of it, but this is quote unquote the cherry on the ice cream on the sundae, and it goes straight down. And the failure is not entirely, or if at all, politics. Politics is the root cause. The failure is the administrative state in Connecticut, which just grows and grows and grows, and nobody does a blessed thing about it. Now, I want to be clear about something. A large part of what I do that keeps these lights on is nonprofit practice. And I mean, we have to watch our pennies. We get scrutinized. We get looked at 6 ways from Sunday, and as well we should, because there's supposed to be quote unquote a charitable purpose to the funding. And I mean, the arts, the theater. Listen, this kid wouldn't be here but for the theater. My father works shows. My biggest clients through the years have been theater chains. I mean, I love the arts. I love movies. So like people say, oh, you're against this, you're against that. No, I'm against waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's egregious. And the administrative state has never done anything, and the legislatures enable it. Now, how does money get to nonprofits? It gets through some process where it goes from the legislature, I think, to OPM, to the DECD. Now, what I did is it's like you've got charities being funded by the DECD, Department of Economic and Community Development in the state of Connecticut. And acceptable, and this is the thing, is money going to charities or is money going in other pockets? Because if I were in a charity, if I were busting my butt and I believed in what I was doing, I'd be pretty damned upset about, money going to people that really are redundant and or are not necessary and or are a crony to somebody else. Now, I was doing some of my Ripplewam High School remedial chicken scratch math, and I took the top 10 funded nonprofits from the Department of Economic and Community Development. You might ask yourself, I'm going to give you, what does this have to do with economic development? You look at these charities, but they've all been funded, and started to say, what are the expense ratios to what's going in? BH Care, wherever that may be, the 5-year average ratio, 50% to income, half of it is expenses and things like that. Their CEO, Sandra Gomez, $307,000. The Hartford Dispensary, Steven Zuckerman, the CEO, $330,000. And there's other executives too, 46% over 5 years. Midwestern Connecticut Council on Alcoholism, John Dioramo, $425,000, 44%. I could go on. I mean, these Boys and Girls Village, $375,000. Shaughnessy Kimberly, 41% over 5 years. And I mean, has anybody ever looked at we have to increase the funding for the nonprofits. We hear this in Connecticut all the time. We've got these problems, but it's like, hey, do we have a governance problem? Do we have a governing problem? It's that to me, as quote unquote, my trust officer brain, for what it's worth, my whatever perception I may have in running my own business, that's a problem. You're spending more and you're getting a whole lot less. Now, just to give you a little perspective, okay? Connecticut funds about 1,200 nonprofits. And this is like, one nonprofit for every 3,000 people. Health and mental health, there's about 300. Drug addiction, 150. Domestic violence, 50. Housing and homelessness, 200. Youth and education, 250. I could go on. But the fact, and the sources on that are the OPM. Again, I'm doing a Mike Wallace. Their figures, not mine. This cannot possibly be this can't be pinpoint exact because number one, you don't get good numbers. Number two, the numbers are constantly changing. But you have a problem here to say, okay, this is a Democrat problem. I've heard Republicans say that. That is the cherry on top of the whipped cream, on top of the ice cream, on top of the dish holding everything together. When you're spending more and you're getting less, and you keep saying, "Give me more, give me more, give me more," it's what are the biggest things? Domestic violence and drug addiction. Okay. In drug addiction, we are, in domestic violence, we are up a third over 5 years. Just a third more. We're spending a third more, and there are more charities, and we have more domestic violence. Drug addiction, same thing, up a third. And we got the money in from the opioid settlement, the whole thing, the Sackler family, McKinsey and all that. That went for salaries. And it's just that the one thing the McCrory scandal has done, and his friend Sansare, Cicero, Hamlin they've called to mind, which we're going to look at in a moment, the fact of, the legislative influence of people pretty much calling into the DECD saying, give me this for that. And there's no oversight and there's no question and there's nothing of propriety. But when you have this kind of funding coming in, and it's supposed to be, quote unquote, helping, and it's getting worse, and there's more and more. And then I drive up 198 and say, where are these businesses? Well, who's going to pay the taxes for the nonprofits, for this, for that? It's like, either I'm dreaming this whole thing, or we're sitting on something really, really troubling here. I invite your comment.
So, we always talk about how the government can't do anything right, and it's best if we farm it out to other groups that end up doing it. But you're telling everybody today that even farming out to these secondary charity groups, they've been failing as well. Magnificently. They've been, Because if you're telling me, and I've been saying this, you've been saying this, but I've been saying this forever. If it's not working, we have to change what we're doing because this clearly is not working. Domestic abuse is up, alcoholism, or
And you're
drug abuse
spending more money. It's not a political scandal. Politics is the enabler. This is the equivalent of like blaming GM for the drunken driver.
Right.
The drunken driver being the administrative state and, the glad handing and the duplication. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is that you're telling me all these different charitable groups, and it doesn't seem like they're making any progress in a lot of these different areas, whether it's homelessness or drug addiction or domestic abuse. So, what's the next page? What's the next play in the playbook?
Well, I'll give you two, and I realize we're getting down to the end.
You can go a couple extra minutes today.
Well, thank you. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a scenario. Just this guy McCrory. I mean, put it this one, as Coach Ragazzino used to say in Ripplewood, he's got big ones in their brass. Looking down these emails, December 6th of 2022, he calls into Sheila Hummel at the Department of Economic Community Development and says, where's the $150,000 for Sansare's charity? Like, that's pretty good. I mean, it's like, isn't this supposed to be an adjudicative body to deliver the resources for economic development? And the reaction is not, who does this guy think he is? It's like, there is one young lady, Jessica Charette, says, I'm going to give this high importance. Well, listen, I can't, I'm not writing this stuff, I'm reading. March 7, 2023, there is an approval of a $1 million grant for 5 years to Girls for Technology. This is one which Sansare is involved with. The then chair of the Department of Economic and Community Development, Alexandra Dom, says, am I reading this right that the grant is for $1 million a year, but the job target is only 10 jobs? I mean, yeah. And then Ms. Hummel says, yeah, it's Sheba, which is Sansare's charity, working as a consulting for Girls for Technology that will be assisting. In other words, it's, shut up and pass the butter. And then we've got the whole questioned couple of more things with McCrory. We'll get into that as time goes on, and I'm sure we'll see much. But we did talk about the ticketing thing last week, which I have some questions about, is why is the marketing company paying for ticketing to the UConn game? And Doug is bringing Sansare and that whole thing. But to your point, and this is the whole thing, why is this not working? I'm going to give you two things. Number one, you saw this. And this is fact, 1,200 nonprofits, the amount of money. We're spending more for drug addiction. We're spending more for domestic violence. We have no freedom of information right into these charities, none. The legislature put a wall up. You can look at the Freedom of Information Act, this whole thing of, well, they're not public entities. They are taking incredible amounts of public money. And when you hear politicians, I'm going to use that term, I'm going to use it pejoratively, say, well, this is a Democrat problem. Well, I think it's time, folks, we ask our local politicians, well, why don't you guys advocate for an FOI lift on this thing? Because they are getting public money. I mean, there's 1,200 of them, for crying out loud. We're spending more. And then it's like, this can all go on under the table. I mean, you've got it made in the shade. And then they say, well, there's audits. Well, it's like, yeah, do we see the audits? I mean, the auditor wants to be sure that he gets back and gets paid next year. I mean, that's the first step. I mean, if I were in these charities, if I were busting my butt, if I believed in freeing people from addiction, and these are good things, and I believed in stopping domestic violence, this would offend the living hell out of me, Elci. The other thing that I'm really, and I'll leave you with this, as soon as we ended last Friday, very nice gentleman sat right down next to me, looked at me, and I thought he was going to throw me against the wall or something, and because he's much bigger than I was. And he said, do you think we need a citizen doge? I'm like, well, yeah, I think we do. I mean, I think it's now getting to the point where, or if we don't need a citizen doge, what are you guys doing that's also wonderful where, we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg on this mess. And, it's, we got to do better than you, if not anybody else. So I'm through.
All right. Well,
Hopefully not through, but I'm through.
no, for now, I'll have Senator Stephen Harding on a little bit later on today, and this is going to be the topic that we're going to get into. I'll ask him why we can't freedom of information some of these charities, and maybe that's a bill that they can introduce and try to pass, because that makes no sense to me. Like,
It makes no
why are they
sense.
protected. I don't understand.
They can literally run money
Right.
in the run money sense, and 1950s film noir sense.
Right. You can watch Tony D'Angelo, of course, on his own YouTube page. Tony, what's coming up on Thursday there? What do you got?
We'll be doing more of the same. We'll be following up with this, and we got a great film review this week. That's the thing I'm most excited about. You got to see it. Let me see. We are going to be doing The Omega Man, made in 1971, Charlton Heston. In other words, this is a movie where if the entire world gets nuked and you're the last person on Earth and you've got the world at your disposal, what do you do?
Celebrate.
I've been trying to get there for years.
There you go. Tony, thank you. Follow him on the
Thank you, Tom.
Angelo 7. It's a must follow. We'll come right back. Flax will join us next. Stick around.